Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and Zergs and Terrans and Protoss, but most of all Zergs, because Zergs are cool. Anyway, we're going to be here on Shakura's Plateau to witness round 3 of the Zeke European Daily for the 25th of January 2012. We are going to be seeing Andy, the Teal Terran, spawning in the top right spawn location versus his opponent JustDontCry, the Green Terran, spawning in the bottom left spawn location. And I have to say, I am very, very happy that we're getting a cross-position TBT on Shakura's. Obviously, close spawn is disabled, but TBT, I very much enjoy TBT. TBT is almost always about the positioning, and it's just so much brilliance. And Shakura's Plateau has been a stage for many pretty epic TBTs. There was one. Well, my favorite example is a game at MLG Orlando between Boxer and TLO, hour-and-a-half long game, and it was just amazing. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It was brilliant. Anyway, we're going to be seeing a barracks coming up from both players right away. Standardo, not going to be going command center first or anything. No proxy stuff coming up yet. JustDontCry going to be grabbing a gas, and Andy going to be grabbing a gas just behind him. Andy is going to be representing the Diamond League here. He is our underdog versus JustDontCry, who is a rank 7 Masters, so definitely the high favorite here in this matchup. So, if you like underdogs, then you like Andy. Moving right along. Gas is just going to be finishing up for both of the players now. And if you do take a look at the production tab, you can see that Andy's just a little bit behind. But that is okay because he is Diamond and JustDontCry is Masters. But so far, everything's been the same thus far. Only going to be changing up now. Looks like JustDontCry is going to be going for a Tech Lab opening, whereas Andy's going to be pumping out that first Marine. And I think I know what this means. He may well be going for a Reaper opening. And I hope I'm right, because I love Reaper openings. And there's the Reaper. Reaper opening it is, and Shakura's Plateau is if there's ever been a great map for Reapers, it's Shakura's Plateau. Cliff here, cliff here, cliff here, cliff here. Cliff. So many cliffs. Cliffs all over the place. So, Reaper's definitely a good choice. But Andy's also going to be going for a Reaper a little bit later. Opted to get his first Marine out first. He's also going to be getting a Reaper, though. So, it's Reaper versus Reaper at this point. There is a command center going down for JustDontCry. Going to be taking an expansion over here. Opting to put it down there right away rather than go for the safer idea of building it in the base. That does, of course, take away potential mining time. So, and Andy is going to go for that variation. He's going to be placing it down right there in the main. And as I said before, it is slightly safer. It's not as exposed, but on the downside, it is also it takes longer to actually get down there and start mining out of there. Anyway, there is going to be a Reaper moving in from JustDontCry, and Andy has his own Reaper, as well as a second barracks on its way up, which JustDontCry started at almost the same time. JustDontCry also getting Stim as well out of his Tech Lab. And there's the Reaper, going to be grabbing a first kill. Andy's not reacting just yet. Now he's finally reacting. He's killed both building SCVs. Going to be delaying a lot of stuff. He's going to be throwing down a third barracks as well. But, Andy's almost able to take out the Reaper for JustDontCry. His own Reaper going to be giving chase and gets it! Andy gets a Reaper kill. Apparently, Andy Reapers are better than JustDontCry Reapers. And, he's going to start building everything. Going to be getting a second gas down there as well. JustDontCry's expansion is now up, and of course the delay that he's given Andy is going to be big. I mean, it's only about 20 seconds, but that's 20 seconds less of mining. 20 seconds further that he is in fact going to be behind. Barracks number 3 on the way up. Factory on the way up for our green player down here. There's going to be a reactor coming up on that one, on that barracks, and nothing quite there because it's not done yet. But looks like we haven't seen a factory out of Andy just yet. Going to be seeing a reactor there, though. Looks like he's doing essentially almost the same thing. Going to be getting combat shields in the Tech Lab instead of Stim. So there's only very minor change-ups between the two players' builds thus far. JustDontCry obviously going for that factory, which Andy hasn't gone for yet, which might spur on a little bit of a difference there in builds, but I do think that he's probably just going to be going for MMM, placing down that starport in a very good position to swap over with the factory's reactor if he decides to build a reactor on that factory. And of course, 3 racks with 2 reactors and and a tech lab is pretty textbook for MMM. Just taking a look back over here, and there's only just now is Andy going to be throwing down his own factory. So going to be a little later on, well, quite a bit later on that. Going to be throwing down the factory almost when the starport's done for JustDontCry. On the other hand, he has opted for the earlier refinery, engineering bay. I'm sorry. Don't know where refinery came from, but he's opted for the earlier engineering bay. There is an engineering bay now finished for Andy, but he hasn't started an upgrade. So, for JustDontCry rather, but Andy will be slightly ahead in the upgrades. So he doesn't quite have stim yet. He hasn't gotten stim yet, so he will be behind in that aspect until he can get stim. But combat shields on the way up for JustDontCry as well, so he's going to be trying to even that out. Also going to be starting Terran infantry weapons level 1. Going to be getting a preemptive missile turret just in case any sort of sneaky comes in. But he's only now being able to get up his orbital command down here as well. Taking a look at the worker supply, going to be 35 to 28. So JustDontCry's delay on that, and the fact that he decided to put his down here, has given him a pretty significant worker lead. And he only was able to kill 2 workers with his Reaper. And I'm not sure if Andy ever ran into his Reaper, did he? No, he did. I just wasn't following it very closely. But he only got 1 kill with said Reaper, so I do like this. He is going to be going for tanks on well, I assume going for tanks. He doesn't have an armory, so it's the only thing he can really do with that tech lab at this point. But well, he could go for Blue Flame Hellions, but it's a little bit odd for the unit composition that he's going. He's not going for MMM. I was wrong. He's just going Marine Medevac, and the same is true for Andy. Although it looks like Andy has more Marines. He does have 2 more Marines. No medevacs on the field for him yet, though. He does have 2 on the way, but JustDontCry is about to get medevacs 3 and 4 out on the field. And what is he going to do? He can elevator them into the main, which is probably his best bet right now, simply because Andy has a much better spread out here. However, Andy doesn't have stim yet, so an engagement will definitely favor JustDontCry, even if he has slightly less in the way of units. Andy kills his spread there. He had a very nice spread for a second, but he just clumped them up there, and here we go. No, JustDontCry is going to opt to move back there. Going to be elevating them up into the main. Very good idea, and Andy is going to be caught totally out of position. JustDontCry moving into the main, and Andy is going to opt to counterattack instead. I'm not sure if he saw that, but now he does. Oh, and he's going to lose a medevac with 5 Marines in it. Huge loss for JustDontCry. And Andy is going to be supply blocked, though, as he has troops in his main. He is opting to actually move back himself instead of going for the counterattack. He's going to be dropping Marines in the main himself. Going to be elevating his own troops. SCVs are going to be running away, but there's a lot of Marines that died to that medevac, so there's a lot less for him to defend with. And he's going to lose that full one as well. Loses 2 almost full medevacs. Huge loss for JustDontCry, and that missile turret has been worth its weight in gold for Andy. Wow, fantastic missile turret. I did not think it was going to be that helpful, but I have been proven wrong. JustDontCry, however, going to be just continuing to produce things out. Going to be expanding behind this. Not the most successful attack of all time. He did kill 4 more workers, but not exactly the kind of exchange you want. 4 workers in a supply depot for about 20 Marines. So Andy's going to be moving out across the map. He's got about 10 more Marines in his group, but if he can hit this before the tanks of siege mode, he will be in a very good position. But he's instead going to be loading up a medevac. Might go for a drop, but he does have this very thin window of 10 seconds left till siege mode is done, but probably won't be able to push in there before that is done. Siege mode is now done. Will he get a chance to get the tank, though? He's going to stim in before the tank has a chance to siege up. The tank is not sieging, and it is going to be sieging finally, but he's going to pull back, and now those Marines are going to be toast, but they're in the main, though. A few of them. Missile turrets did seem to probably take out the they did take out the medevac, but 5 Marines were unloaded nonetheless. Going to take out a pretty significant number of SCVs at this point, getting 6 worker kills already, and forcing this whole army to be pulled into the main. But he is opting to go home with this army. He's got a pretty significant number of Marines at home anyway, but he has to attack. He has to keep the aggression on before JustDontCry gets too far ahead. He does have double upgrades, double engineering bay, but there's nothing coming out of this one at the moment. JustDontCry has turned this around with his own double engineering bay, and he's now ahead in the upgrades. Well, right now it's 1-1 right now as soon as this finishes, but he's going to finish 2-2 a lot earlier. vehicle weapons level 1 on the way up for Andy, though, who has started pumping out his own tanks. Going to be moving them in the middle of the map, in the middle of this little area down here. But this is a pretty dangerous push coming from JustDontCry, and that is a scary push. That is quite a few units. Nope, not a push. It looks like he's just going to go for the defense, and there is a drop in the main again. Going to be getting 7 Marines in there, and there's not that much to defend. He's going to have to lift his own guys up there, but he's not doing it. Loses a tank, and now he's going to lose a lot of stuff in here. Going to actually go for one of the medevacs. Takes out a medevac. Going to lose a few more troops. Where's the elevatoring JustDontCry? He's not elevatoring anything up there and takes a lot more damage than he had to. Oh my lord. Oh my god, drop over here as well. Going to be able to take out the entire mineral line, and that explains my question of how the hell the worker killed got so high. All of a sudden, Andy with fantastic drop play, going to be able to take out a huge number of workers. Taking a look at the worker supply, Andy now has a stunning lead, 50 to 39. He has a pretty significant force here himself, but I'm not sure whether he has enough to be able to beat this army of JustDontCry's. He might actually. Upgrades are not on his side. Does stim in, going to be able to siege up his own tanks. And JustDontCry hasn't sieged yet. He's way later on the siege, but Andy is going to lose all of that stuff. And that is not a good position for himself to be in. He's going to be massively outnumbered if JustDontCry goes for an attack. But there's a drop in the natural again. Going to lose a few more troops. 5 more troops have already died. And brilliant drop play from Andy, who is continuing to harass, not stopping at anything. There is a fourth being put down for JustDontCry. Andy is only now finishing up his third. And, well, look at that. Considering that Andy is Diamond and JustDontCry is top 8 Masters, stellar play from him. Here comes a push from JustDontCry. Andy's going to stim, going to be able to engage, but the tank falls. There's another tank up there on the high ground that's just going to be sieging up. Now it has a meat shield. It should be able to do a decent amount of damage, but there are 3 tanks on the low ground, and Andy GG's! And despite his fantastic drop play, JustDontCry, his macro just too solid, and he is going to be able to take this game. Andy will be leaving us, and JustDontCry moves on.